Thanks for dropping in. It's Dr. Dina Churchill, innovator in health and wellness, here to talk to you about the importance of masking or unmasking. So this video was motivated by my walk this morning at Point Pleasant Park, and it was a beautiful day walking along the ocean with this breathing in this salt air, and I seen this couple running by with their masks on, and I thought, wow, what sort of propaganda and belief system must they have to be running next to the salt water and to be wearing a mask? So I came home and I did a Facebook post and thought maybe I would just do a live video to promote some of the topics that we discussed in that post this morning. So if you're looking for any resources for the information that I'm about to give you, it will be in the post that I did this morning, so you can scroll down. And I'm so grateful for all the Facebook friends that dropped in and added research and funny memes, and it's been a great discussion. So in this live video, I'm going to try to summarize. Now, I did get some criticisms after my last few live videos. One was from my mother, who said I spoke too long and she was losing interest and I shouldn't take the phone down or the camera down to the computer. So I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to try to stick to the topic of masks and viruses and try not to kind of divert too much. And I'm not wearing my white coat, as Corey suggested. That would give me more respect, but maybe my voice can also, teach as well without having a white coat on and make a point. I heard some other feedback, I was too emotional and you couldn't understand what I was saying because of my emotion. So thanks for the feedback. I mean, I just want you to know that I'm taking it all into consideration, and I appreciate that because it gives me guidance into kind of who's interested in what I have to say and what's important to you. So thank you for that. Thank you, Costa, William, Kenny, nice to be here. Nice teeth. Bruce, cowboy from Kansas here. Great. I love having some audience, so thank you. But the post that I just did this morning, really it was a meme that said, masks aren't for your protection, they're a sign of your submission. So I was hoping to kind of stir the pot a little bit with that one, and it appeared that we did. But for me, mask wearing, when I seen this couple this morning, it's a sign of fear. It's a sign that the person has plugged into the idea that, they're going to be protected somehow, or they're going to protect somebody else from a virus, and they're going to save a life by wearing this mask, which is totally ridiculous in this case. But it also tells me they're plugged into the media propaganda. So those same people wearing the masks are probably the same people that have their cupboard stocked with toilet paper. So it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to teach. So I didn't stop them as they were running through the park this morning because they were, jogging along, and I had my dog with me. But I thought, okay, if they weren't running, I think I would start a conversation with them. And I've done bits of this conversation with people that I've met, Costco and places like that. So maybe it might be helpful for you to share kind of what my protocol and what my scenario is. But invite them into a conversation first, so they don't think you're attacking them, just to compliment them. I don't know, on their hair or their dog or their, shoes or something. And then to kind of establish a rapport. Say, I remember one time when I wore a mask too, even if it was when I was spray painting my planters, to protect from the aerosol, but to establish a rapport. And then you can sort of slide in that a virus can't really be inhaled. It needs to be injected or ingested, and then you can leave a little break. Say it's not like TB or pneumonia or whooping cough. There are bacteria that can be inhaled, but a virus is a little different. And then you just wait. You just wait and see what the reply is. They haven't hit you over the head or ran away. But then you can engage them in some conversation, or that might be your starting point for some people. Like, how long do you plan to wear that mask? I was watching a virologist yesterday on Highwire. This is true, Dr. Zach Bush, and he said that there were 5,000 different viruses that have been identified. And what happens is they're a natural detox of our body. So every year we cycle through some different viruses. They're actually helpful for our evolution. So when we have the next viral detox in the fall, are you going to wear the mask then too? and just allow them an opportunity to really think about it for themselves. Because if they're plugged into that propaganda, they will resist you giving them the information. So if you present it in kind of a Socratic sort of way and learning and just asking them the question, you encourage them to think for themselves, which is what's missing in the paradigm. So how long do you plan on wearing that mask? And when we have the next kind of series of viruses come through, because there's 5,000 out there that's been identified, likely there's 10,000 more, are you going to wear a mask every winter and fall? Just and leave it, right? Leave that. And then you could say, or you could ask the question, right? Do you think that wearing that mask impedes our oxygen intake? Like, could the mask wearing actually be detrimental to our health? And just see what they say. Just leave it, because they need to think for themselves. They don't need you to tell them. And just like here, I'm just suggesting to you what I do. I mean, you can scroll down that page. People call me a crackpot, an idiot, I don't know, a quack. I'm not a real doctor. I'm not making this up. I've just done my research. I'm just reporting to you on what the virologists and the specialists around the world are saying and getting censored for that truth that they're trying to present to you. So engage them in conversation. And at that point, I mean, they may be ready to kind of do a rebuttal because you've stimulated and you've touched their fear paradigm, which is the fear of death, which is in themselves or could be in their loved ones. And that's a powerful thing, right? It's one of the biggest stressors, and the biggest fear in our population is fear of death. So when people are wearing that mask, they are literally scared to death of either dying themselves or having a loved one die. So you've got to kind of work into it in a gentle pattern or a gentle way. So, but if they're worried, right, you still see they're really stressed and they're becoming anxious by what you're saying, you can say, the deaths from this virus are a lot less than what we see with flu, and that's true. If you scroll down the page, there was an MD whose name is Dr. Ahmad Gurgas, and these are Canadian statistics. Again, the US has statistics too, but I've just studied the Canadian statistics. And he's at a hospital in Toronto, and he gives the statistics, 80,000 people a year die of cancer. There's 13,000 that die in motor vehicle accidents. There's 8,500 that die in motor vehicle accidents, and 1,300 that die in motor vehicle accidents, 8,500 that die of flu, 3,500 that die of suicide, and then 2,200 that have so-called died of this coronavirus. So if you put it into that paradigm for them, it kind of shifts their fear a little bit, right? So you don't say, well, you still drive a car and you've got a greater risk of dying in a car accident than you do from this coronavirus. So if you change and reframe it for them, they're not so scared, right? And then you could say, I've had 100 coronaviruses, which I probably have because they're cold viruses, right, in my lifetime. And I have the philosophy, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. I think it supports my immune system and makes me stronger. And you could say, well, after all, I came up and talked to you, right? And you could just kind of make light of it, make a joke, because fear is a great antidote to, humor is a great antidote to fear. So if you try to come at somebody really strong with your opinion that's totally opposed to theirs, it's just like pushing a pendulum. You're pushing them further and further away. If you're inviting them into the conversation, asking them what they think, choosing your questions carefully, then you get them to think for themselves. And ultimately, this is what's missing in the picture, right? So Socratic learning. So you can go over that post and you can look at some of the references that I'm about to talk to you about. But what is a virus? A virus is dead genetic material. How is it transmitted? Ingested or injected. Why are they important? Because they challenge our immune system. They get things working. They also are important to evolution, right? So there's thousands and thousands of viruses. 5,000 have been identified. Dr. Zach Bush says probably 10,000 or 100,000 viruses out there. But just like bacteria and viruses and fungi, they're important for our evolution on the planet. Right? If we're to survive, we have to learn how to adapt to our environment, or else we'll, live in a bubble with our masks on and we'll croak. So viruses are important not only to help our immune system, but they're important for challenging our species. And yes, there'll be some deaths, just like there's flu deaths every year. I think it's natural grooming. Usually the people that die of the coronavirus, this is statistics, this is from scientists, Air pollution. Dr. Zach Bush, he's a triple board certified physician. So he studied in cancer research, he studied in palliative care, he studied in internal medicine. He makes these products that are from soil bacteria that I've been taking for years called Restore. And it helps restore the tight junctions of your gut lining that's been destroyed by the glyphosate. So he's a brilliant guy. He's into research and making these products to really help our humanity. I'd highly encourage you to go look at that High Wire show yesterday, because not only did he show his brilliance in his mind, but he showed his heart, and it was a wonderful show. But what Dr. Zach Bush says is he could have predicted where this coronavirus was happening in Wuhan based on the air pollution. So the air pollution is one factor. It increases toxicity. Wuhan, China was also the first place to roll out 5G technology. 5G technology is a 5th generation cellular technology. It's a military systems wave. I know I say the same thing, just like a recording every time, but maybe there's new people, maybe it will sink in. A military systems wave that it works from 30 to 300 gigahertz. So it has the potential to split the DNA, to split your DNA, the double helix of our DNA. It causes all sorts of problems, one of which is a problem with oxygen coupling to hemoglobin, which causes respiratory distress. So Wuhan, we had the highest air pollution, so lungs are already taxed. Then we had the 5G technology, which already affects the lungs. And just before this breakup, they had a widespread kind of flu shot. You know, go get your flu shot and be healthy. So the flu shot has, and again, there's another post down on the thing, but the flu shot has so many chemicals in it. So many chemicals, heavy metals and nanoparticles and, you know, fetal cells and glyphosate. And, you know, it's toxic. And the research shows the number of flu shots you have, 5 consecutive flu shots, increases your risk of Alzheimer's because of the heavy metals. So the flu shot's not good. It's a toxin. So if these people had the flu shot, they were exposed to the 5G technology, radiation poisoning, and they have air pollution, which again, China, they do. And again, the masks may help protect against air pollution, right? If the particles are big enough. But this is something else. I wrote down the statistic. Jeff. Thank you. Facebook, Jeff, did a picture, and this was brilliant, of a guy standing behind a chain link fence over his mouth and nose. And he said, this is the equivalent of wearing a mask to protect you from a virus, because a virus is measured in nanoparticles. The pores in these masks are measured in millimeters. So a millimeter, a nanoparticle can go through that mask without a problem if we're looking at the size of viruses, right? So 1 millimeter is a million nanometers. So it's, you know, again, you're not really protecting yourself from the virus. So thank you, Jeff, for that post. And again, you can scroll down and you can see the statistic and the numbers that he had had placed in that post. So we talked about the toxins. So Dr. Zach Bush, again, he said yesterday, this virus, what it's really doing is unmasking our toxicity. So it's killing those or showing up in those who are already toxic in their bodies. And I posed this question. I sent all the MLAs, members of Legislative Assembly in Nova Scotia, a letter this week after I watched Dr. Judy Merkowitz's video, Plandemic, for the 3rd time on a different platform, because it's been deleted and taken down from different platforms, which is a sign that there's a lot of truth in it. And what Dr. Judy Merkowitz, who is a microbiologist, had said was that if you have a flu shot, it predisposes you to a COVID death, because again, the flu shot is a toxin. So it's not just Dr. Zach Bush. Many scientists are saying this, especially, like I said, this recent Plandemic. And you can find it on Brighton. If somebody wants to post that now, you can post it, or I'll post it after. But that's a brilliant video. Anyway, so then I watched CTV News on my mother's recommendation, and she said, do you realize that there's been 35 deaths at Northwood, which is like a senior facility? So that was a bit concerning. 35 out of 41 deaths, and they're all at this Northwood facility. Now, of course, older people are more aged, they have more sickness. But my query was, I wonder if they had the flu shot, because I've had a lot of feedback from people who have had elderly parents, and apparently part of the mandate of being in this secondary facility is to have the flu shot. So I sent an email to the members of Legislative Assembly, everyone in Nova Scotia, the health minister, Randy Dolores, the chief medical officer, which is Dr. Robert Strang, and also the premier, Stephen McNeil. And I asked them, those 35 people that died at Northwood, would they have had the flu shot? And if they did have the flu shot, was it all from the same batch? So I haven't heard back from anyone yet with that query, but because Dr. Judy Merkovits, Dr. Zach Bush, many of these physicians are saying if you have toxicity in your body, you will be more susceptible to death from this virus, which is, again, very low. But again, Dr. Zach Bush yesterday, this was so enheartening for me. He says, humankind is the most destructive force on our planet. Humankind. That viruses are a part of our bodies and our species learning kind of to adapt and regenerate, right? They're important for evolution. He suggests allowing natural immunity, because this is the only way we can eradicate a virus, is to become immune to it naturally. So we can't get an injection that's going to help us. As Dr. Sherry Tenpenny says, you know, vaccines don't prevent infections, they cause disease. Right? So it's just totally bizarre that you think you can get a shot and it's going to help you. But he says, again, there's 5,000 viruses that are identified, and just like the bacteria in the soil, they're important for biodiversity. So his product, Restore or Ion, the new product, is actually a combination of a soil bacteria. So it's kind of a different idea than probiotics. It's actually the soil bacteria that we're missing, because when we're spraying glyphosate. And yes, it is a herbicide, but as somebody said to me, it's not an antibiotic. No, it's used as a herbicide, but it was first patented, Corey told me this, thank you, Corey, as in Japan as an antibiotic. So anti means against, biotic, life. So as we're trying to sterilize everything, sterilize our plants, sterilize the soil, sterilize the internal vaginal canal of a woman, we're sterilizing our whole process of birth and death. So again, in the video in the High Wire episode yesterday, he talked about that. You know, we're sterilizing ourselves from birth and death. Sterilizing birth was kind of my idea, but sterilizing because our babies are coming out and they're not having exposure to natural bacteria, because we're so bloody set on like cleaning all the germs and like taking antibiotics and eating genetically modified foods that wipe out all our natural flora, that our babies aren't even picking up that bacteria to create a normal biome, a microbiome when they start life. And then he talked about, which was so heartwarming, how we're sterilizing our death process. Now he's worked in palliative care, so it was really interesting to see a cancer researcher say chemotherapy doesn't work. I love that. But he said, you know, we have to honor that rite of passage, and important to kind of be with the person as they're passing. He said, even, you know, in the midst of battle, a soldier will drive through, you know, a whole shower of bullets to get to a fallen comrade so he doesn't die alone. And here we're leaving our elderly parents and grandparents in these secondary facilities to be shot up with flu shots and to die alone. Like, that's not our humanity, right? That's not the fabric of our humanity, again, as he said, is in our touch, is in our beingness, it's being with each other. So, again, it's important. So if you haven't seen that High Wire episode yesterday, go back and look at it. And I talk about Del Bigtree and the work that he's doing because I so value it. He's sort of a global force that's bringing information and research to you. So I highly recommend it. It's been really helpful for me. The other guy I want to suggest you have a look at as a resource is Tom Barnett, and his video is posted on that link as well. His video is called You Cannot Catch a Virus. Now this was taken down, again, just like Dr. Judy Merkovits, of multiple sites. So there's a thing called censorship, and many sites are connected, as you can see. If you have access to one site, they ask you if you want to have access to other sites, and you know what they are. But Brighton, B-R-I-G-H-T-E-O-N, is a site where you'll find all the misfits. I don't know, all the truth sayers. So that's a platform that you can trust. And again, I've just downloaded You Cannot Catch a Virus from Tom Barnett onto my YouTube channel, so it's there for now. But I did have one of my videos removed from YouTube, so I don't know how long it'll last. Go there, copy it. You know, you can search a program to learn how to copy a video into your computer from YouTube, and then you can share it with your family and friends, because this information has to get out there so we don't see people running through the park with a mask on. But Tom Barnett says the same thing as all the other researchers. You can't catch a virus, it has to be injected or ingested. He talks about viruses are really solvents of the cell that's helping the cell detoxify. I had a naturopath send that to me once. You know, I was not feeling well. She said, that's great, your body's detoxifying, producing mucus, coughing up, clearing out your lungs, getting your body to rest and regenerate. She said it's a good thing to have a virus, to get sick. It really challenges your immune system. He also said that the virus is specific to certain cells. So if you have a virus in your lungs, for example, it doesn't necessarily give you blood in your urine, which is what they're finding with some of the corona cases, right? So maybe it's not really coronavirus, because that would affect one organ. Maybe it's radiation poisoning, right? Because that would be a sign of radiation poisoning from the 5G technology. And then it can't skip species. This is a very important point. Dr. Judy Mirkovits, Mikovits, talks about this too. How does a bird flu or a swine, pig, or a rat or a cat, or HIV, which came from kind of monkey or simian virus 40 that comes from cancer, how do we get these things into our bodies? I mean, are we making out with the pigs or something? But it comes in an injection most times. So I'm going to read you a passage right now. And thank you. Anita, my dad was signed, Anita says my dad signed no such documents when he was in long-term care. So I missed the first comment, but yeah, sometimes you have to sign a document that says you consent to their policies. And I know some long-term care facilities won't get their government funding unless they commit to having all the residents have the flu shot, for example. So some long care facilities have that as part of their standard protocol, maybe, and some don't. Dave says, welcome, Anita. You will love her. Oh, thank you, Dave. Sheena, additionally, I have been recording my own data. 3 residents seem to have a reaction to the vaccine this year. Excellent. So this is really important too. If you have loved ones in a secondary care facility, I don't, but again, I shared it with all the MLAs. So they already have my question and the thought planted. But if you have a resident, if you're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and you have a family member there at Northwood, get on the phone and start asking questions, because somebody has to be liable. If they're forcing you to have a vaccine that's predisposing you to death, then somebody has to be liable for that. Leona, thank you for watching. Sheena, resident care agreement. It is in the resident care agreement. So again, I'm missing some of the comments, but someone said residents had to sign a document for the flu shot. Yeah, I've heard that. I've had a number of people, a lady from New Brunswick whose father died shortly after he had the flu shot, and she was, resisting it. But part of him being there and she couldn't take him home was that he would have this shot. And Nia Raven says, my dad died hours after getting the flu shot. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I could say that as a story that's new to me, but I've heard it so often that it really breaks my heart. Greetings from Detroit. Thank you, Lisa. So this one I'm going to read now is a book, Murder by Injection. Now, Corey shared this with me, Corey Hutter. And I was really resisting reading this because I thought Murder by Injection, just what I need. Another conspiracy book, dark agendas. So I resisted it for a whole year. And then finally, I don't know why, I picked it up and started to read it. So this is taken from page 138 of that book. And it is... They had the swine flu vaccine, which was suspicious pig raisers had refused to touch, fearful it might wipe out their crops. The manufacturer had only tried to get 80 million from the swine breeders, balked in the sale, and then they turned to other markets, which were humans. So this swine flu, there were no, according to this guy's research, Eustace Mullins, there were no incidents of swine flu until they introduced this swine vaccine. So why are they called swine flu? Because it's made for pigs. They initially made it for pigs. But then because the swine breeders didn't want to infect their pigs and they were noticing some livestock were dying, then they decided to sell it to the population. So the fact that there was not a single known case of this flu in the United States did not deter the medical monopoly from their scheme. The swine breeders had been shocked by the demonstrations of the vaccine just on a few pigs which had collapsed and died. So you can imagine the anxious conference at headquarters of the great drug firms until one bright man remarked, "Well, if the swine breeders won't inject it to our animals, our only other market is to inject it into people." So this was something that was put forward then by President Ford, Gerald Ford. Hardly had the swine flu campaign been completed, then the reports of casualties began to pour in. Within a few months, claims totaling $1.3 billion had been filed by victims who had suffered from paralysis from the swine flu vaccine. They leaped to the defense in the medical monopoly by labeling this new epidemic as the Guillain-Barré syndrome. It was merely a variation of the swine flu vaccine, but they couldn't really say this is from the swine flu vaccine because that would look like they had tried to massacre the whole population. So instead they just created a new paradigm. They put a new syndrome, Guillain-Barré, which was really paralysis from the vaccine. A lot of the polio cases you'll see if you read the research were actually caused from the polio vaccine and the DDT in the environment, chemicals in the environment. So once again, if we look back to history, we can see this is not a new scam. They've done this before. They've tried to scare people into swine flu, polio, this and that, when the actual vaccine is more dangerous than the naturally occurring things in our environment. Even the man-made ones, our immune system can handle it, provided we're not injecting or ingesting what they're giving us. So then, of course, President Ford really didn't get elected to the next term after that and retired. I like this quote. I really love this writer because he adds a little humor into what is quite a dark agenda. He says, President Gerald Ford was retired from politics to life. Not only did he lose the election, he was also sentenced to spend his remaining years trudging wearily up and down in the hot sandy stretches of the Palm Springs golf course. So if you want a really great book of history so you'll understand what the current paradigm is Murder by Injection. And again, thank you, Corey, for introducing me to that. So where were we? I wanted to talk about Tom Barnett and the fact that they don't skip species. If it's skipping a species, if you have a monkey genetic virus in you, it's probably been injected. Because what happens is on the vaccines, they have to grow these vaccines on tissue. So Dr. Judy Merkowitz, who worked in vaccine, in research in microbiology, they grow it on a monkey or mouse tissue, and then they inject it into you. So you are being injected with genetic material from animals, and our bodies are human. So you can understand how that might cause some problems. Dr. Judy talks about chronic fatigue, millions of chronic fatigue cases and HIV cases that actually were coming from these animal injections or vaccines, the lab. So again, Tom Barnett recommends, has a few different points. He says, how can you kill something that's already dead, right? So we're using our sprays and our mask and everything. The virus is dead genetic material. And sometimes maybe in a man-made lab, they might slip it into a form that's more virulent, for example. But even the masks with the pores that are measured in millimeters, big pores, these little viruses that are nanoparticles can get through. He says, don't get the flu shot, because the flu shot, again, is creating toxicity in your body. And to go outside, to be in the sunlight, to breathe in the fresh air, this is part of our health and our immune system. The sunlight is the vitamin D. If you're near an ocean or can get that salt water into your sinuses, the neti pots that cleanse, it's really just salt water that you're inhaling. If you can go out and be in the nature, take off the friggin' mask, you know. And there's a meme where, you know, you can see that people have like tan lines where they have the masks. I mean, eventually they're going to take them off, but get out in the fresh air, breathe in the fresh air, and strengthen your immune system. Natural immunity is the only way to get rid of this virus. Allow people to have it, create antibodies. Our bodies get stronger for it. So that's what they're not telling you, and that's why they're taking down these platforms of people that are trying to tell you the truth. So turn off your social media and just start questioning, right? Who really counts these corona deaths? Are the tests reliable? Studies show that they're not. How many just have like a cold, or how many have radiation poisoning from the 5G technology? Their lungs are clear, it's not pneumonia, and they're having blood in their urine and other symptoms. So what would be that? You know, it's... you need to sort of ask the question and go back and look at these videos. I'd highly encourage it. Now, Ben Hurley had posted something that I really love. It was a little picture, and he talked about the what happens when you mask wear. So when you have on a mask, you're reducing your O2, your oxygen coming in, which is important, essential for all life. It's important for our cells. It's important for detoxify. It's important to keep our brain healthy and alive. It increases CO2. So CO2 is the exhalation, is the products that we're trying to get rid of when we exhale. So if we're restricting the good things coming in and we're blocking the bad things from going out, we're creating a toxicity in our body. And one of the chiropractors from Texas had commented this morning, Lizzie, who said that you know, she was seeing patients coming in with more headaches and dizziness and feeling ill and detox problems, again, because they're wearing the mask 24/7, and it's impeding this natural respiration that we need to keep our bodies healthy and our cells healthy. The other thing is, if you're wearing a mask, you're touching your face more, right? You're putting your hands on your face, you're fixing your mask. This is how we get it in, not through breathing, it's through ingesting or injecting. So if you have on that mask, you're really increasing the likelihood of transmitting germs. And then, you know, inhaling the contaminants are in the mask. So if you already have the virus, of course, you're concentrating it, as Judy Markovitz says. By wearing the mask, you're getting more of that virus. You're not allowing natural breathing and allowing your body to heal. And again, remembering the pore size. Again, thank you, Jeff, for that. The pore size of the masks are a lot greater, and the little viruses, you know, could get through anyway. So it's not really, doesn't really make sense. So we talked about touching your face more. Oh, the other thing that came up on the post this morning, and it was brilliant. I can't remember who said this, but he said, you know, the mask only covers your mouth and your nose, right? So if a virus can only be injected or ingested, what about your eyes? I mean, they're a method of entry, and you can get, you know, viruses that come in through your eyes because they're all around us, viruses and bacteria. So I don't know, Costco's probably gonna like have a blinders, have a blinders recommendation next week. Mask and blinders and gloves in order to get into the get into the store, which is another thing. Costco put this crazy thing forward, right? That you have to have a mask to shop there. It's ludicrous. Why would you think they're encouraging masks? I'm just gonna put this out there. You have to wear a mask at work, Gail. Oh, so educate them. So give them the information, go down, copy the articles. If you're working though in an area where there's pneumonia, whooping cough, TB, I mean, if you're in an area where there's bacteria, a mask is wise, you know, wearing a mask during a surgery, for example. But it doesn't protect against the coronavirus. So you may have to wear a mask at work, and it'd be helpful for other things, just not for this. So, but why do you think conditioning? That's why, Mark. Conditioning is one reason why they want you to wear a mask. Why else? Why are they promoting mask wearing? Fear. Fear. Because if you see everyone going around, right? If I walk up to you and I've got this, like suddenly you kind of get like a little sympathetic rush, right? It creates fear. And in order to control you, the cabal, you know, the corrupt individuals that are going to try to sell you the vaccine, they need to have you scared. So scared that you're going to run up to them and say, oh, you know, give me the shot so I can take off my mask. And they're going to think that somehow this shot is protecting them, which is bullshit. So again, you have to share this information. This is really important. So Costco, I did a video from the parking lot. I was on their Facebook page posting different comments. I'm doing this now. I'm talking about it. I'm posting their link so you can go and talk to them about it. So what I found out through, again, doing a live video or a post is that Bill Gates was on the Costco board of directors. So if you dig a little bit, you can see where the motivation comes from. It's not in protecting your health or the health of their customers. And ultimately, any business has the, duty really to do what the customer wants. So if they hear from you and you tell them how ridiculous this is, they're going to have to listen. And either in an email, on their Facebook post, but we need to do that. So again, one just simple thing is to say it only covers your mouth and nose. If it has to be injected or ingested, what about your eyes? What about your ears? I don't know, if you cut yourself, if you put your finger in your mouth, you have to, I don't know. It's just foolish that this little mask with millimeter pores can keep out a virus and enemy. It's unreal. So, but education. And this, I'm kind of being facetious now with you, but if you're dealing with someone that's your employer or someone that's truly fearful of their life, you have to be a little more gentle. Better to ask the questions, to critical learning, than to throw the information at them, ask them what they think, and then give them the opportunity to answer and wait for them to ask you. Because ultimately, if they're not asking the question, they probably don't want to hear it. They're happy and comfortable in their fear. So to educate them. So mask wearing, we've gone over that. We've talked about Dr. Zach Bush. Any questions? Hi, Carrie. Great activism there with your friend. Cody, put a bag over your head. Is that for me? Yeah, thanks. Thank you for sharing all your information. Yes, absolutely. Be gentle. Yeah, be kind, be gentle, be loving, right? That's... No one, I can't remember who said this, but they're not going to listen to what you have to say until they feel that you're caring about them. And you have to come from a place of genuine care and compassion, not anger or resentment, but really caring about them. And when you care about someone, you care to share the information. So reach out beyond your own family and your own friend circle. Reach out to your government official, reach out to your school. So I sent letters, also emails to the members of parliament regarding 5G technology and said, this is a real problem. These are the problems. It affects the DNA. These are the 26,000 studies. If you go onto my blog, healthtruth.blog, go to the search engine, type in 5G, and you'll see an article, Nature versus Technology. There's lots of resources. You can feel free to use it. You can send the article. You can pull out what you need. I did that so you would have it as a resource for speaking to your schools, to your members of parliament, to your employers. And we have to educate them, to your city council. So again, I sent out letters to MPs, to city council members regarding the smart meters and the 5G technology. I sent a note to the school because I was really panicked one day saying, if this is installed while my kid's away, if this 5G is installed, I'm going to litigate. I CC'd my personal injury lawyer on that letter and said I will take legal action if this is installed without my consent, because it's a dangerous technology with no safety studies. And again, the government has put in place the Telecom Act in 1996 that protects these cellular companies from any liability. So the government's not caring about you. They put legislation in place to protect the company from getting sued for injury or death. So we have to be our own advocates. And if you scroll down the page, I think it was yesterday's post was about the 5G technology, but that's important. And a lot of the corona deaths, I think, are being confused with radiation poisoning. So I'm leaning on this daily and speaking to strangers just to get people at least asking questions. Yes, thank you. And Isabel says, hi Dina, can you please talk about the contact tracing? Thank you, very dangerous 5G. I'll send you a copy of the document residents to sign to the nursing home. Yes, thank you, Sheena. And we can post it on this link because it's important for people to know who have family in long-term facilities, what this is all about. Andrew says, only recently I found you. A great speaker, wonderful information. Andy from the UK. Oh, thanks, Andy. And you know who I really love in the UK is Kate. Shermani, and she's a UK nurse, a holistic nurse. Man, she is powerful. I just love listening to her Facebook videos. I think she was taken down. So this is the other thing. People that are starting to speak out, and there's more and more all the time. More doctors and nurses are saying, the hell with the system. We need to speak out or we're going to kill our humanity. But they often get taken out. So we need you. We need everybody to share. Every voice counts. Jacob, what do you think about Bill Gates? Yeah, okay. Kimberly Fuggiero, thanks for watching. Gail, believe some believe there will be something in the injection to track us. Okay, somebody wants me to talk about that. Okay, my mother's gonna, I don't know if she's still watching, but she's gonna say, Dina, you said you're gonna stick to masks, and here you are now talking about tracking technology. Okay, Mom, I'm sorry, but I got asked the question, so I have to go there. Yes, Bill Gates has put satellites into space. He's funded that technology. He's also funded a technology of chemtrails, which are blocking the sun. So he's using Greta, now is the latest mouthpiece, Greta Thunberg, to promote this idea of climate change, to validate his experiments of our weather. So he already has tied up a lot of money and energy into this whole grid of surveillance. And there is some evidence, and if you're looking for that, you can ask the question. I'll post the link actually afterwards. Or Andrew's there. Hi, Andrew. East Coast status of 5G. Okay, yeah, I'll mention that. If you wanted to post the link about the 2020, ID 2020, you know, somebody joked with me, actually, Corey, I don't know if this was a real joke, but COVID-19 certified certification of vaccine ID. So there is a talk that you'll be injected with a nanotechnology that allows you to be tracked. And so not only the heavy metals and all the other things, but many believe that the whole idea of shutting down this global economy, shutting down the world, is again to have us be able to be controlled and manipulated, not just by our TV and our newspapers, to have us go buy toilet paper and wear masks, but literally affect the frequency of our brains through this 5G technology. And those who are tracked can have a, can be scanned in the grid, and they can locate you. So just like with your phone, right, your smart technology, not so smart, they can be tracking you wherever you are. Imagine if you have that technology in your body. They can release chemicals, they can affect your physiology in profound ways. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, there's a lot of bad, let's say, energy in the idea of injecting anything into your body. It's not just the chemicals, but it's the nanoparticles and the tracking. And Mark has, Betsy's watching, thank you, Claudette's watching. And Mark says, now the end begins. Yeah, that was a great link. Thanks for posting it, Mark, so you can look at that. That talks about the tracking and how they, I don't know if I should mention this, but luciferase is kind of like an enzyme that they're going to be using. They've called it Lucifer, and they've, put 666 in the numbers and stuff. I don't like to promote that because I think that can be even more scary for people. My whole idea of Lucifer and Satan is, people that have lost their way to God, and they have to kind of find some other kind of like scary thing. It's like, just a bad Santa Claus to me. So I don't like to promote that because I think it scares people more. But just know that there are nefarious means for this vaccination. It's not philanthropy, right? And I think the more we can expose that and on many different platforms and get more and more people talking about it, we have to empower the masses. I've been on this path. My Chiropractic Association gave me a fine for speaking about vaccines 2 years ago. And I had to surrender my license because I really couldn't afford the legal expense of continuing and being able to be in active practice. So in that time, I have connected with members of legislative assembly in 3 different provinces. I've connected with members of parliament. I went to New Brunswick when they had their legislative assembly and the standing committee review of mandatory vaccines, and spoke and doing live videos. And I've been all over the place. But many people think I'm a quack. or nuts or bananas, or I'm delusional, or put a bag over my head, or I don't know, whatever. But if we empower ourselves, the people, the grassroots, this is what shifts the paradigm, right? They can't fool us if we're smart. They're depending on our ignorance in order to be able to control us. So again, I've approached the Prime Minister several times. I hand delivered. I crawled over a crowd. My mother can attest to this, and Robert, my stepdad, and I hand delivered him a whole synopsis of vaccine research. And that was in 2017. So he knows, he has the information, and he hasn't done anything about it. In fact, after that, it was Jane Philpott who wanted to, increase and expand the vaccine program in Canada. So our leaders have this information. Every MLA and every MP and the Prime Minister of Canada in Nova Scotia has this information. So why is it continuing? Why doesn't it change? Because they are being manipulated by what I call the circle of corruption, which is the World Health Organization, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve. These are people that have loaned money to the governments at a very high interest rate. So in essence, they have our governments in their back pocket. So trying to work from a top-down process to educate our leaders, which is what you think in a kind of a democratic situation that you would do. I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to do that for years. And I just see it's not working. It's just like talking to the wall. So my grandmother had a saying for that too about steam, but I don't think I'll say it on the live video. But anyway, it's up to us to empower ourselves from a grassroots level and empower the people so we can't be fooled and manipulated and programmed. So it's important to turn off the TV because they're feeding you propaganda. The media is bought by these big companies. How do I know that? Because I wanted to publish a story at CBC. And I was told by 2 different reporters that I couldn't publish a story if it wasn't approved by Snopes. So what is Snopes? It was a husband and wife team, now just a husband team because the husband ran off with a girl. And so it's a husband team, a one-man team that's on the Monsanto payroll. Monsanto, who genetically modifies all your food, who I have to mention was in a court lawsuit just last year, or maybe it was the year before, had to pay $2 billion, right? Had to pay $2 billion because they showed, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., lawyer, showed in court that these chemicals, this Roundup, glyphosate, that they're spraying on your genetically modified foods and putting in your baby food, was causing cancers. So they had to pay $2 billion. So then Monsanto joined Bayer, which is another pharmaceutical company, because the press was bad and they had to kind of cheer up and, combine the resources. But again, they're suffering because of this exposure, because we, the people, are becoming smarter and we're speaking up. So Tammy Canal was a mother, a stay-at-home mom of little kids, and she realized the kids were getting sick, food allergies and intolerances and stomach upsets. That's what happens when you take out all your natural bacteria. Not only does your guts give up and you have things like gluten intolerance and food sensitivities and food allergies, but your immune system suffers, so you have more chronic illnesses. So when she discovered that one of the highest group of foods that had this glyphosate, this water-soluble poison, was her baby food that she was giving her kids, she was irate, as most mothers should be, and say, hey, I'm not ingesting or injecting those chemicals, because vaccines have glyphosate in them too. I'm not injecting that into my kids. And she started this, march against Monsanto. She thought she'd get a couple of hundred people. Now they're like millions, over 2-3 million in the world globally. And I think it's that mother, it's that one mother that started this movement, that started the awareness on a grassroots level that made the success, that helped with the success of Robert F. Kennedy in the courts and having him pay back $2 billion, because people are starting to be aware of it. So we change the environment. We, the people, have the power. The government are our elected officials. Those companies are supplying our needs and requests and our demands. So if we demand, oh, I need the shot to protect me from the coronavirus, I need shitty food, please give me more genetically modified food, that's what you get. So unless we stand up, somebody posted on that thing, well, we can't do anything about it if Costco says we have to wear masks. Yes, we can do something about it. We cannot shop there. We can boycott it. We can be on their Facebook page. We can send them emails. Otherwise, you're sitting back waiting for the lethal injection. Right? What is this? We have to stand up for our rights and our freedoms. So I'm sorry I got off on that. So where's 5G in Nova Scotia? It's not here yet, Andrew asked that question. So I was on the phone to Rogers about 10 days ago. Yeah, about 10 days ago, and I recorded it. So I put it on my Facebook page. So this is what I said to the Prime Minister. If this comes through, I've recorded every email that I've sent to the MLAs and also the MPs. I've recorded every email that I've sent to you, Prime Minister. I even recorded the conversation I had with Rogers, which is the company, cellular company that's doing the rollout, that said they don't have any safety studies. How do I know that? Because there's 26,000 scientists that have, sent in information to the United Nations pleading that they don't roll out this technology. So they don't have any doctors on staff. How do they know it's safe? Because the World Health Organization, the CDC, said it was safe. You know what? The CDC is a vaccine company. The World Health Organization has a mandate in 1973 to depopulate using vaccines. They're not a great source in my mind. And this is what I said to Rogers, all recorded on a video. So if this 5G technology comes near me, I will take legal action. And I encourage you to do the same thing, because I'm just one, right? Crackpot. But if we all write letters, if everybody writes letters to their city council and demands that your smart meter, I have a photo of that, Rick sent me a great photo of a tree next to a smart meter, and the side of the tree that's by the smart meter is dead, and the other side's green. So the smart meter that you've been mandated to upgrade, they wanted to shut off my water, not Halifax water, but Neptune threatened to shut off my water if I didn't upgrade. So that's when I had to kind of speak out a little louder to the mayor and to the city council and say, hey, this is dangerous, I'm not upgrading. And this is what you need to do too. I can't do that for you. You have to take responsibility for you and your family's health. And this is how we make a change. So get on your phone, whoever updated, here in Nova Scotia is Halifax Water and Nova Scotia Power. So you can opt out. You can go back to where they come out and read your meter. So that the meter is not then on a Wi-Fi technology. Go back to cord technology. Go and turn off your router at night at least, so you're not bombarded with those, 90 billion hertz a second of radiation into your brain. So right now, Andrew, it's not here, but it looks like their plan, Rogers' plan, is what they told me on the phone call, you can go listen, is that by the end of 2020, all of Canada, at least commercial centers, will have this 5G technology. Tesla 5G, thank you. So Donald Trump, and quote me, Andrew, if I'm wrong, is working on free technology. Tesla technology that apparently is safer. I don't know a lot about that yet, and I can't comment about that in Canada, but that's something for you to investigate. So if you know anything about that, Andrew, any other questions? Phone frequency, radiation, even for 6 years. Oh, the comments are going so fast, hard for me. Frank is watching, and hello, greetings from Pakistan. Thank you. Praying for me and our poor Christian people here. Yes, pray for you too. And Darren Garnett, again, so many judged, persecuted, and left to the wolves. It's beyond discovery, time to catch up. Our maximum equity, let me see, I give. To find them and read them and know your equity. Don't buy to the new phone. They got the 5G tip. Thank you for that, Jacob. So yeah, don't upgrade, because a lot of the new technologies, Tesla was suppressed over 100 years ago. Yes, that's true, but now I think Donald Trump's reinvestigating it, as he is with a lot of things that were dusted under the rug, keeping us in the dark. Yeah, so there apparently is a different 5G technology that's not as dangerous, and a new kind of free energy system that won't pollute the environment or pollute us and injure us in the same way that I think they're discovering. But that won't happen unless you push it to happen, unless you demand it. Demand safer technologies. So any other questions? I hear that rumors as well that they're looking at different metals in 5G equipment that has benefited, not caused harm. Not sure what you think. I'm not sure about that, Andrew. I hear rumors as well that they're looking at different metals in 5G equipment. I don't know about that. But I do know that my router that I had from Eastlink was already pre-programmed with this 5G technology. Apparently for 3 years, they've been implementing it in the router with the anticipation of this 5G technology coming out. So the plan has been in place. You're just not aware of it. So again, learn about the 5G technology, healthtruth.blog. Go to my YouTube channel. 1976 swine flu massive immunization failed. Michael, I just read out a passage from that if you wanted to go back, but a passage from that from Murder by Injection with Eustace Mullins. But basically the swine flu was a vaccine developed for pigs, right? Swine. And the pig farmers wouldn't take it, so instead President Ford decided it would be good to mandate for the population. So there wasn't one case of swine flu until they vaccinated, and of course then there were a lot of paralyzed people, and there were a lot of sequelae, disease, deaths, $1.3 billion. And they, instead of calling it a vaccine injury, they called it a new syndrome, Guillain-Barré. And again, but the vaccine caused it. So the coronavirus, the COVID-19, this is not the problem right now. Even if it was man-made in a lab, it's not really the problem. The problem's going to be the injection. So this is why they're trying to scare you with the masks and false information, and why they're censoring all of us is because they don't want the information to get out. Their plan depends on your ignorance and your compliance and your control. So you've got to take back your own brain. You've got to take back your own health. You have to fight for your rights, because if you don't, they'll be taken away. So visit healthtruth.blog is where you'll find some articles. One's about the coronavirus. One, you can type in 5G. You can type in GMO. I wrote an article on that. So if you're a mother with kids and you're wanting to, have some more resources on kind of foods that they put this poison in. And in Canada, they don't have to label it. It's a poison, right? It's a water-soluble poison, and they don't have to label it. So unless your food says non-GMO, you can assume it's genetically modified. Dr. Zach Bush is a great resource. I'd encourage you to have a look at him and his products, because his products, the soil bacteria, actually helps heal those tight junctions of your gut lining that's been destroyed by the glyphosate in our environment. And listen to the Highwire show from yesterday. So great people that you'd want to support would be, if you're in Canada, Vaccine Choice Canada. They're our national body. They send out a newsletter, so any protests or litigation that's happening, you'll know about it. I Can Decide with Del Bigtree, and that's the Highwire show, comes on every week on Thursdays, 3 o'clock Atlantic time. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's a lawyer that's fighting for our rights, and he's won, right? He's gaining ground, right? He won a $2 billion lawsuit against Monsanto. We have to support him, not only with our voice, but also with cash. And his website is childrenshealthdefense.org. And then there's all sorts of other great people that I love that are promoting truth, like Robert Scott Bell, Larry Cook, Aaron at Health Nut News. I forgot to mention this in previous videos, but Dr. Mercola, who's Aaron's sort of partner in life. Dr. Mercola, I've been following for many years and get his newsletter. So you can sign up for these newsletters, right? You can sign up to their websites. Because of the censorship, we might not be available, right, on Facebook. These are coming down. Like right now, I said if you put into the Facebook browser, Vaccine Choice Canada, only the CDC website comes up. You can't even find them. So register at the links. And you can reach me here for now. or Dr. Dina, Innovator of Women's Health. I have another Facebook page that I now have access to again. I do have a YouTube channel, Dina Churchill, and you can always reach me through the blog at healthtruth.blog. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Andrew Kovaquid, I missed that. You're listing out some of the heavy metals, magnets, clean up impurities from 5G, working at an ionic level. This keeps oxygen from being depleted. Okay, that's really interesting. So we'll have to learn more about that, but Andrew has put up some information there about 5G dangers that cause flu symptoms, largest global cover-up in history. Thank you. And could you include the websites of the people? So I will do that as soon as I'm off the live, or if somebody else wants to do it, Children's Health Defense, Vaccine Choice Canada, the I Can Decide, Adele Bigtree, the Highwire, so I'll put that up. Microwave millimeter radiation, yes, that's true. It is like a microwave, and if you have a smart meter outside your house, it's trapping you. You have your smart technologies, and you're kind of microwaving your kids, which was the name of one of the articles that I wrote on 5G technology. Don't microwave your kids. Tommy King, you're so correct. I tell people if it doesn't say non-GMO, yeah, that's right. So it needs to say non-GMO. Rick says Pam Popper is great too. I don't know her, Rick. I think you did send me a link, but I haven't had time to look at it. Anita says, how many vaccines has Bill Gates gotten? Well, according to his Twitter page, that would be another place where you could ask questions of him like that, is that he has 100 different corona vaccines in the pipe. So one of them is going to stick. You know, I posted a link about that, and it just reminded me of the song that, you know, he's going to get you one way or another, either with the 5G or with the shot. Michael says, what's your take about health app tracing and testing citizens that are being implemented? Again, you know, I think that surveillance is not really a good thing to be injecting into us, and app tracing. So the app tracing, do you mean on your phone? You know, so I know the plan is to kind of inject you with surveillance, and then to have a screening technology that allows them to see who is vaccinated. So, you know, I don't know if that's what you're meaning or not, but aluminum foil can be used as a shield. So there's some great websites too about how to protect yourself. And if you go on that 5G, I've also listed some resources, another video where you can go into it. And keeping to my mother's recommendation, I'm going to try to sign off before an hour. So I just want to thank you all for joining here on this live presentation. Thank you for sharing the information. Thank you for sending me things. So if I don't get back to you right away, or if I miss you somehow, it might get lost in the shuffle. Just know I love and appreciate all your comments and your feedback and the videos. So on any given day, I probably have a dozen or more videos to get through, and I don't like to comment on them until I watch them. So it's a great education. We're a team, you know, you're helping me and I'm helping you. We're all putting it together. But if I don't get back, or if I don't answer you, you know, I've had some people kind of say, I get very upset that I haven't answered them, or noticed that they've been disrespected on my page or whatever. You know, one video I did had like, I don't know, a few thousand comments. So I answered the first 600, I think. And then I said, you know what? If I need a life and I need to get on to the next thing, I just can't even go back to answer. So if I don't answer you, it's not because I'm not appreciating, it's just I'm trying to be most efficient in how I can serve you. So Kate always finishes with the Lord's Prayer. Kate Shamani, that nurse in the UK. So I think I'd like to finish that way too, because I think this is the way to rise beyond our own fears and our insecurities, and you know, the emotion that they're causing is to reach for a higher power and realize that there's something guiding this whole process. If we trust in it and trust how that power is in us. So somebody's, I'm just going to pray to God, everything's going to be okay. You know, God gave us a mouth. God gave us a brain. So if we're not speaking and we're not using it, you know, we can be overcome by the forces that are more powerful and that are using that knowledge and using our ignorance and our fear to manipulate us. So I'd like to say the Lord's Prayer, and that will be kind of a way to take time to breathe too. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, you know, I talked to my friend this morning, Ron, and I said, I think I'm going to go off Facebook for a while, you know, just so I can have a break from all the technology. But then I was running through the park, Rick, and I just seen these two people with the mask, and I just thought, I have to talk about this because, you know, we're at a park. We're next to the salt water. We're next to the ocean. They're trying to exercise and be healthy. And at the same time, they're impeding the oxygen. They're going to like give themselves a heart attack if they're running with this mask. So that was my inspiration to come back and share this mask video with you. But now we'll say a prayer. Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, for we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So thank you for watching. I'd invite you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best, and most of all, try to enjoy the journey. Now I have to finish with something that Kevin Donka wrote on my page. It was a meme, and it was Nomaske. Instead of Namaste, it was Nomaske, which means from the light of my immune system, love and wisdom and power, to the light of yours, Nomaske. Thank you and have a great day.